Hi, my name is Stephanie Gardner, and this is my analysis for the instructions of how to plant a bulb. This is the complete set of instructions that I found online at the website that's included here. These instructions were intended for children, and I did like that at the top of the instructions there was a materials list, and each item had an illustration. So step one was get the flower pot. I found this step to be too simple. It wasn't really necessary. It could have been included with step two, as we'll see in a second. It includes a visual of the flower pot, which is redundant because that was included in the materials list. And it's not really something that people are not familiar with. Even though this is intended for children, I feel like this step is way too simple to be necessary. Step two was use the spoon or trowel to scoop the soil into the flower pot. This is a good action step. I feel like this is where the action begins. And by mentioning to someone that you're going to fill a flower pot with soil, the idea that you need to grab the flower pot is already there. It's not necessary for step one to be there, as I said before. So I think those should have been combined. This also includes a visual of soil being put into the flower pot, which could be useful for the kids. Step three was fill the flower pot to the top. This step is a little bit vague and maybe inaccurate. If you follow the step exactly as it's stated, there's not going to be any room for a bulb, so I'm not sure that they really wanted the soil to be placed to the top. It's not how I've done it in the past. But anyhow, by saying fill the flower pot to the top, since this is a separate step from step two, I think it should have been mentioned that we're still talking about soil. We're filling it with soil to the top. And again, that one did not include a visual, just like step four, which makes it even more unclear. So step four is make a hole in the soil for each bulb. I felt that this was also vague. It doesn't mention how many holes, doesn't mention the size of the holes in comparison to the bulbs, and there's no image to make any of this any clearer, so I think this could use more detail. Step five was push the bulbs gently into the soil with the pointed part upwards. This step could also be a little more detailed, especially for children. I think this would have been a good place for the illustration to make that clear, but as you can see, my picture's really blurry here because this illustration was really small in the instructions. It's really hard to see what the pointed part of the bulb might look like. And I think they also should have mentioned you're not just sticking this anywhere in the soil. The bulb should be placed in the hole that's been created previously. And our next step, step six, cover the bulbs with soil. I think that this step makes perfect sense. The illustration helps. And it's pretty plain and simple. You're just going to cover the bulb with soil. Step seven says water the bulbs. Well, I think we might understand what that means. It could use more detail. How much water should we be placing into the flower pot? And step eight says leave to grow, watering regularly. Same input as the last step. I think we should be more detailed with what it means to water regularly. How much? How often? Also, I think it would be a good place to maybe let the reader know what they can expect from this point on. How long might it take for these bulbs to produce flowers, so that we have an idea of whether we've completed these instructions correctly. Overall, I think they were really effective instructions, but more detail would have been really effective.